Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I'm glad his mom died before she could meet our baby? Okay, I know how that sounds, but hear me out. My husband's mom was a nightmare, like Lifetime movie villain level. She called me a gold digger for marrying her precious son. He's a freaking accountant, not Elon Musk. Forgot to invite me to family holidays for 3 years and once mailed him a framed photo of his ex with a note saying, "The one who got away." When we announced our pregnancy, she said, "I'll believe it's his when I see the DNA test." She died suddenly last year in a car accident. I didn't cry, but my husband was wrecked, obviously. And I held him through it. But inside, relief, deep, ugly relief. Fast forward to now. Our daughter is 4 months old. Last night, my husband got drunk and tearful, saying, "I wish mom could have held her just once." And I, sleep-deprived and still sore from breastfeeding, just snapped. Thank God she didn't. She would have made our kid feel like crap the way she did me. Silence. Then he called me a heartless witch and slept on the couch. Part of me knows I crossed a line, but another part stands by it. She was cruel, and death doesn't erase that. He's grieving a mom who wasn't real, the version he wished she was. Meanwhile, I'm over here with stretch marks and a baby who finally sleeps, just not sorry. So, am I the a-hole? Or is this one of those cases where the truth is an a-hole but it needed to be said? Now for the top comments. My granny always said, "Don't make the preacher lie about you at your funeral." Not the a-hole, and everyone sucks here. It's an extremely low blow you dealt to someone grieving losing their mother. But it sounds like he was quite the heartless witch to you about her behavior when she was alive. I think you guys need to talk this out, because there seems to be a lot of resentment under the surface about how she treated you, how he handled it, and how you're expected to whitewash that history now that she's gone. Don't do this when sleep-deprived and juggling the baby though. Make sure you find a good time for the convo. She was horrible to you. Did he ever try to stop that? Nope. He always apologized to me but never really did anything or talked to his mother, sadly. It never ceases to amaze me how folks will talk about horrible dead people, like they were good and kind. You're right, he's grieving what he never had and pretending that was his reality. Never ever forget that he didn't protect you from his mother. This behavior will manifest itself in another way in the future. You might also want to keep an eye on his drinking. People who become verbally abusive when they drink are already grappling with an alcohol problem. Good luck, OP. Not the a-hole. Death does not make heroes of us all. Don't speak ill of the dead is utter BS. You are under no obligation to lie about the abuse you suffered at her hands. Your husband knows what she said to you about your daughter's paternity. The problem is that you thought he disagreed with the things she said. The fact that he's angry that you're relieved not to be abused anymore says a whole bunch. My grandma was next level evil. All my aunts and uncles hated her. Then she died and it's, "Oh, she was a wonderful woman. She did so good by us." And I'm there like, WTF? No, she did not. That woman was straight up Satan in heels. I despise my dad. When he dies, I'm not gonna make his memory something it isn't. I'm gonna be dancing on his freaking grave. He's an evil, abusive bastard, LOL. My mom was this way. She had an alcoholic, possibly narcissistic dad who wreaked havoc on his family, who all enabled him. When he died, he became the next best thing to Jesus incarnate. He was wonderful and perfect and a great dad. No, he wasn't. He loved me and Elle loved him. But as a teen when he died, I just sat back wondering what the heck was in her head. Still do. Next story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with her after I saw her apartment? I had been seeing this girl for a few months. We met through a friend, so I had known her a little longer, but she was gorgeous, and I was super into her. Last Saturday, she invited me to her place, which I had never been to. She had mentioned her apartment was a mess, and I laughed because I thought she was just being self-deprecating. But when we got to her place, holy dude. I want to start off by saying, I know that people have their reasons for stuff like this, and I don't want to be disrespectful in any way, but the state of her apartment was genuinely shocking when I first went in. It was a pretty small place, and I'm not just talking about clutter. Literal piles of trash on the floor. A sink full of dishes overflowing onto the counter, stains on the couch and carpet, week-old food on the table, and just piles and piles of stuff everywhere. Not to mention the overpowering smell of mold and mildew that I could literally taste in my mouth. She told me to sit down and stuff like it was completely normal, and I tried not to act weird, but I'm sure she noticed. I stayed for a bit and we watched a movie on the couch, but I left before it got too late. The next day I called her and told her I didn't think things were going to be compatible between us, and she got mad at me for leading her on and breaking up with her for no reason. I didn't mention the apartment, but I don't know, maybe I should have? Literally nothing about her appearance or personality would lead me to expect this, so it was sort of unbelievable to see the state she was living in. I feel bad for her, and I'm worried I might have acted too quickly. Not the a-hole, but I do think you should have mentioned the apartment. People who don't know what the problem is cannot take any corrective action. Tell her and move on. I think you could be right. My niece is like this. She lived with us for a while and completely trashed her room and didn't appear to have any qualms about the kitchen or lounge either. She's a grown adult and we had to ask her to leave. Such was the mess and stench. She doesn't seem to care or need to do anything about it. In fact, I'd say she's butthurt we couldn't tolerate her mess, like it's perfectly normal. She needs to be told by her contemporaries, because she certainly didn't care about how we felt about it. My oldest sister is like this. Everyone has told her and offered to help her clean up her house. Now she just doesn't let people into her house. Even her car is freaking disgusting, but if you knew her outside of those two scenarios, you would never know. She dresses well and her hygiene and appearance is impeccable. She just won't change. I feel badly for her kids. I wish I had paid attention to this red flag. I didn't, and now I'm having to extricate myself from a long-term relationship that has been severely damaging to my mental health. Not the a-hole. Same. After 2 years, I tried everything. Helping him, doing it together, but he still kept procrastinating. I ended up exhausted from managing 2 homes, and when I came to his place, all the stuff from the 2 weeks I hadn't been there had piled up. I told him I can't do it anymore. I'm only coming over when he cleans up. We talked about what should be done. Recently, we were together for something else in his area and had something to eat at his place. We ordered food because the whole counter was full of clutter, food, and nasty cooking stuff. I said, I'm not staying. It's bad for my mental health. He said, oh well, I already knew you were leaving because it's never good enough for you, miss. He only put his sheets from his bed in the washing machine. There was dog hair all over the floor. The table was piled with stuff, clipped nails on the small table, crap stains in the toilet, plastic wrappers and cardboard from all sorts of food, and impulsive buying BS. When he's at my place, I have to clean twice as hard because he makes a mess everywhere he goes. I accepted that, but it feels like having a teenager in the house. My 7-year-old son cleans up after himself more. Long story short, I wish I had seen the signs earlier and called it quits. Now I'm in love with this grown-up version of a toddler. Next story. Am I the a-hole for pushing back on a prenup where my fiancé's family wants half my assets, even though she has $30 million and I have less than $100,000? I, male, am getting married in 2 months to my fiancé, female. She comes from a very wealthy family and has multiple trust funds totaling around $30 million. She owns the $11 million home we live in outright and earns $500,000 plus per year in passive income, dividends, distributions, etc. She does not work and doesn't plan to. I, on the other hand, work full-time, earn around $200,000 per year, and have less than $100,000 in net worth. I don't own any property or equity outside of a small stake in my startup. In the past, I have covered $5,000 a month in our shared expenses, things like groceries, meals, and transportation, and I'm open to doing something like this in marriage. Her family has retained a top law firm to draft the prenup. They are proposing that, in the event of a divorce, she would be entitled to half of my net worth, even considering I would own no equity in the homes, cars, or any large lifestyle assets. I'm coming in with very little and trying to build up from there. They say this is standard, but nothing about our situation feels standard. I've proposed something I believe is far more fair. We each keep what we bring into the marriage. Trusts and premarital assets stay separate, including any growth. We contribute to a shared fund, proportional or equal to be decided, for things like food, shared travel, so long as it's not outrageously expensive, childcare, etc. No alimony or lump sums if we split. We simply part with what we earned. Possibly a clause where, if I ever reach a certain level of wealth, say over $10 million, she'd be entitled to a capped portion, like 35% of anything above that amount. Though even that is starting to feel unfair. She believes that because she is funding our lifestyle, staying home with future children, and providing a standard of living I couldn't afford on my own, she is owed something back in the event of a divorce. But I won't own the home. I can't make financial decisions. I'm not building equity. It feels like I'm living in a world someone else built, and still being asked to pay for it later, like something is owed. To me, marriage is about building a future together, not feeling like a guest. Am I the a-hole for feeling like this prenup is completely one-sided, and for pushing for more autonomy and clarity around shared expenses, instead of just accepting what her family thinks is standard? Now for the top comments. Don't sign anything without getting a lawyer first. I've discussed this with several lawyers. Their law firm is infamous. Lawyer I like is $7K retainer, $625 per hour. We are meeting again ASAP. The issue is they still haven't sent the prenup, so every hour I spend with him is somewhat hypothetical and based on my ideal terms. It's ridiculously stressful and an example of a high expense when dealing with a very rich family and keeping up with them, so to speak. The issue for me is that she believes this structure is fair, pre-negotiation, which is why I want public opinion. If she believes it is fair to screw you over when you are in the happy stage of your relationship, imagine how she will treat you if she ever decides to be done with you. You have bigger problems than disagreement over a prenup. Are you sure you should be marrying into this? While looking through OP's post history, said fiancé has a history of drug abuse and alcoholism as recently as a year ago, so I guess I'm wondering if he sees any benefit. Yeah, thought about deleting that but decided against it. She is doing much better and I love her very much. Ideally, this would be kept separate and viewed in the context of whether her or her family is the a-hole in this case, or I am for overcomplicating this and throwing away our future. I'm sure this is not what she wants to do, but I think it would be a huge mistake to marry this woman. You may totally love her to death, and it may be a match made in heaven on some level, but this is asking for serious trouble. If there are ever any problems in the marriage, she's gonna lawyer up or get her rich family to torture you into doing what she wants. I'm not judging drug use or whatever, but she's someone who is used to getting what she wants and knows how to manipulate people into getting what she wants. If you want to stay with her, I would take any talk of marriage off the table, continue with the relationship and see how it plays out. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking my wife for divorce because she would never defend me in front of her friends when they would insult me? My wife, 32 female, and I, 25 male, got married in January this year. My wife is a lot older than me, and I know that despite our age difference, I married her because I truly thought of her as my own family. I believed we could move forward together as a couple, a team, and life partners. But ever since I married my wife, her group of friends has always insulted me whenever they get a chance. At first, they said I didn't need to marry a woman so much older than me, and I just brushed it off. But now, they are saying that I'm a gold digger and only married my wife for money. My wife is a widow and inherited most of her late husband's money. I tried to defend myself and told them that I'm capable of earning my own money. I also will inherit a lot of money from my parents, and I'll have more money than they could ever imagine. But that didn't stop them, and they continued to insult me. I asked my wife to stop her friends, but she didn't do anything for me. So I told my wife that I wanted a divorce. She freaked out and asked me why. I told her that I wanted divorce because her obnoxious friends keep insulting me, and she doesn't defend me. I feel like she doesn't respect me as her husband, so I want to leave. My wife cried and said she would cut her friends off because she doesn't want to lose me. But I told her that I want a divorce. I told her that I've done everything in my power for her, but she can't even defend me in front of her friends? I don't want a wife who can't have my back. I would rather stay single. The only reason I married her was because I love her. It's been 2 days since I stopped talking to her. She cries all day, and it hurts me to see her crying. She says she will do everything for our marriage and asks me not to give up. But I think my wife doesn't respect me or our marriage. She never defended me, so why should I stay married to her? As big of a red flag as her not responding when you asked her to stop them is, it is at least a big of a red flag that she wouldn't stop it on her own without you asking. Not the a-hole, but you have the right to divorce your wife for any reason. If you don't feel loved, supported, disrespected, if you do not feel comfortable in your marriage, all that are valid reasons for a divorce. However, you had your reasons to get together with your wife and marry her, and at no point in your narrative you indicated that you informed your wife that this was your deal breaker. I get that you are not holding her friends' nagging and insults against her, but her ignoring and enabling it. However, being 32, she might have believed you could deal with it. Not telling her, not informing her, but immediately threatening with divorce seems quite rash. Again, not the a-hole for wanting a divorce, as you have the right for whatever reason, but with no warning? Nah, not cool. I'm not a fan of telling people if they should stay married or not. You should decide how much of a deal breaker versus how much you love this person. And if there's resolutions. I mean, she said she's sorry and is offering solutions. All I'll say is, there's clearly conversations to be had, as she's amenable to changing things. Unless you're resolute in your conviction that you don't want to, then hey. I don't want to divorce my wife either, and if I wanted to, I wouldn't have married her. And yes, it is a deal breaker for me. It's not about what her friends are talking about me. The deal breaker for me is my wife's lack of concern for me. I was expecting her to defend me in front of her friends, but she never defended me, and she only says she will cut her friends off when I ask for a divorce. But the question is, if she's cutting her friends off because they insulted me, or if she's cutting her friends off to make me feel good so I don't leave her. If my friends ever said something like this in front of me and my wife, as to why I married a woman so much older than me, or called my wife a gold digger, I would have shut them down. So why is my wife not doing the same for me? Are her friends more important to her more than her husband? Why can't she defend me in front of her friends? I'm a bit immature, I guess, in front of her and her friends, and I may have took it too far, but the least I was expecting from my wife was to have my back as I would have hers. I will talk to my wife, obviously, before I take a drastic step like divorcing her.